Um, thank you, student collaborative, and thank you, Harsha Vardhan, for calling me. Especially, I'm really happy to see that uh, you have called me about a book which is not purely on architecture, and we all know that all arts are really part of architecture. I mean, architecture is known as the mother of all arts, so all the students should be interested in arts, whether it is directly architecture or any other art. Um, Working with art is something that I would very much recommend. When I was here talking to you about the first book, it was very clear cut that we had worked out certain method of doing house planning and along a tartan grid, and I could show it to you that uh, uh, this would be one of the ways of designing a house. This time, what I'm going to talk about is about life. So there are no clear-cut answers, or there are um, no advice that I can give you, because I know all of you. There's a lot of age difference between you and me. Actually, I think probably all of you are my granddaughter's age, who is just also graduating this year. So, giving advice to somebody so much younger is very difficult, because the world you will be facing will be so much different than the one I have faced. So, that same advice may not apply to anybody. Uh, but I will show you what I have written in the book, which is my experience. Now, all of you, as I said, that all of you will be facing a world which is so much different, and there are so many technological advances that have taken place, and because of that, we are kind of trapped into that entire technological era. And art is a kind of a good antidote for all of that, because there are all of you must be wondering whether you would be losing your job to AI one of these days, because AI will know how to do planning, because some amount of logical thinking goes into that. Um, but art is something that I still feel. I know AI produces art, but I don't consider that as a really very expressive art. It You can always tell when an image is AI generated. So for your generation, art is part of the creativity and the creative field that you are into. So I'm talking about mainly this book today, which is I think, is it showing upside down? Yes, probably. It's called Between Mud and Moksha, a potter's journey. In this, I have described my life, whatever problems I have gone through, or whatever uh, learnings I have done. Uh, and It is a kind of a part of a journey in which pottery was a very big part of it. Apart from pottery, there was architecture. Apart from architecture, there was also reading from certain books, such as Jnaneshwari, which is a Marathi translation done by Sant Jnaneshwar in 13th century in that time's Marathi. So all of these three things are very much part of whatever I have written in this book, and those are the three indivisible things to me. And I have tried to explain some of the stanzas from these books, which also talk about mud quite a lot. Now, actually, there is one particular poem which is not part of Jnaneshwari. It is a poem written by a Marathi poet called Gadi Madgulkar. And that was always, coming at the back of my mind whenever I'm doing pottery. Uh, it says, फिरत्या चाकावरती देसी मातीला आकार विठ्ठला तू वेडा कुंभार. So this saint called Goda Kumbhar is addressing his uh, beloved god Vithala as a Veda Kumbhar. Veda means crazy. So he is asking him about why does he keep on making all these pots. And I suppose by now you might have guessed that when he means the God is making pots, that means he's making us. So he's making all kinds of animals and all kinds of things apart from human beings. And so in this particular poem, the Gora Kumbhar is asking God that, you make all these pots which are all different shapes and sizes. They also have different fate. You only make them, you are the creator, and you are also the destroyer of all these pots. Some of them have good fortune of keeping butter in their belly. Some of them have to carry burning tinder to the crematorium. Why do you do all this? So this was to me a very insightful poem, because each time any artist starts doing something, some of you or all of you must be having that experience that you don't really know why do you do certain things when you're uh, doing, let's say, pottery, or even sometimes drawing work or designing, because you know that your designs are not going to be, when you're in college, those designs are not going to be built. Or a lot of the pottery I make, not all of them are really useful. I mean, and some of them are good, but some of them are not necessarily something that somebody would buy it either. But as a artist, you keep on making things, and that is the kind of creativity that is actually required, in a sense that that is the kind of creativity which will keep you engaged so thoroughly that rest of the world doesn't exist. So I wish that kind of a creativity for all of you, because creativity is one of these things which is uh, part of people's well-being. I mean, when you are talking about the God making all of us, you don't know why He's making them, but He keeps on making them. Uh, Artists will do the same thing, and by doing that, in effect, you are also being a creator like the God. Uh, if that makes any sense, that would be one of the good reasons to keep on making certain things. Uh, what I would like to know is how many of you do practice art apart from architecture? Can anybody answer?
Yeah, I do practice it sometimes just to free my mind.
Yes. So, what do you do?
I play violin, I perform theater, and then I'm also into visual art installations and a little bit of painting and sketching.
Okay. So, as I said, that if anybody tries to tell you that, you're wasting time away from architecture, that would be a wrong thing, because what being in practice of some other art gives you is a new passion for the subject, and it gives you a lot more novelty in the way you approach things. So I would say that, that would be the takeaway from my book, that any practice of any art is really a worthwhile proposition. Now, what I want to tell you is that in this age of AI, one of the reasons why I went into pottery is um, it is a very tactile material. Mud is a very tactile material. I mean, mud is everywhere. It is entire Earth's crust is mud. Even stones are someday they are going to be mud. And what as architects, whenever we are doing any building, we are using the Earth's crust to support it, to make it. Even if you're building a glass and aluminum building, you have to know that the Earth's crust is 75% of it is made with silica and alumina. So, glass and aluminum is also part of the same crust. All the metals are also part of the same crust. So, uh, what is not something that you are going to get away from. I mean, you might have heard that there are uh, Kabir's dohas, which in Mud is talking to Kumbhar. Say, "Mitti kahe Kumar se." He's saying to him that you might be putting me under your feet uh, today, but you are going to be mud one of these days. Yes, I'm glad to see the uh, cover. Um,
You can just tell ma'am to forward the slide.
okay, okay. So this particular book I have already done. I mean, got a Marathi translation also printed, and there is also a Hindi translation that somebody has already done, which will be published within a couple of weeks. This is the Marathi translation. Next, please. Yes, this is the poem that I was talking about by Gaudi Madhugurkar. I don't know if any of you have heard that poem before.
No ma'am, I think. Maybe someone from Maharashtra has heard of.
Yes, I mean, in Maharashtra there is
Yeah, there is a one
tradition.
student who has heard of.
Okay.
Some of us have read it in NCRT of class 12th, CBSE.
Oh, okay. Uh, in Maharashtra there is a tradition of saints from starting from Sant Jnaneshwar up to Tukaram, starting from 13th century up to 17th century, where all these, they are the bhakta of Vithala, whose temple is there in Pandharpur. And so Vithala is their god, and a lot of the people are from different trades. Like this Gora Kumbhar is there, then there is a Chokha Mela, and so people from all different trades have written to Vitthal, and Vitthal to them is not a distant god. He is somebody who eats with them, who works with them. So he is a very person who everybody is very close to. So this particular song was written by Gadi Madhugurkar for a movie called Prapancha, which is the story of Gora Kumbhar. So uh, if you can see this Mati Pani Ujedavara, Tucha Misalsi Sarva Pasara, Abhal Samaga Ye Akara, Tucha Ghatacha Utarandila, Nase Ante Napar. He's saying you mix earth, um, air, light, and all of this you mix and you make give shape to the sky, which I thought was a very poetic way of saying, as architects, that we keep on talking about space, and space already exists. As architects, we try to make an envelope to encase that space. In pottery also, actually, you're doing exactly the same thing. It is the space inside which is makes the pot very usable, and it is By on a philosophical turn, it also means that whatever is inside a person, whether you call it Atma or some sort of a energy, that is what is uh, not going to get destroyed if the body gets destroyed. So this is generally the way people have looked at it. One of the days, I had looked at somebody's NID thesis on ceramics, and the thesis started by quoting a Chinese potter. Somebody is asking that Chinese potter that you just now made such a beautiful pot, you spent days making that, and now it is broken. Don't you feel really bad? So the potter looks at him and says, no, I was never really interested in the pot. I was interested in what is inside the pot. So, which I thought is what basically any art, it is not only about the art itself, what it does to you by creating that is what is going to stay with you, not the object that is there. Um, there is at the end of this poem also he has said something very poetically that you give us eyes, but you don't. Uh, he's saying, "Desi dore parinirmisi kaya pure andhar." You give us eyes, but you don't really let us see the light unless we really work at it. I will read out the translation of that. Um, what are you trying to achieve by all these actions? You give us eyes, but not the wisdom to see the light. So, I mean, I don't know whether I should be talking so much about philosophy, but and when I wrote the book, I had assumed that people of my age would be reading it more than somebody of your age because the book deals with life which a lot of you have a lot more years left to experience. But I don't want to uh, take away credit from you. All of you in must have also experienced ups and downs in your life as well. And philosophy is something that makes a little bit of sense, and you turn to it as a solace. Now, what I have also described in the book is various stages that Mud goes through. I mean, one of the comments I got from somebody who read the book was that she didn't realize making pottery was that complicated. She thought that it is just you take the mud, you make the pot, and you're done. She didn't know that unless you fire the pot, it is of no use because it will become mud again. And firing is not something that you just put it on the stove and it is done. It takes hours of putting it through the kiln with the correct amount of temperature and the heat. And if you want it glazed, you have to put glaze on top of the pot and refire it. Um, any of you have done pottery before?
Yes, ma'am, I have tried it.
So, did you find that it is a very quick way of doing things?
Yeah, I've personally felt pottery is a little bit tough compared to other things that I've tried. Like when you want to sketch, you can always erase or, add things to cover up the mistakes. But with pottery, if you fire it in the wrong way or if the clay is wrong, entire effort is going in vain.
Yeah, one of the things though, pottery, I went to pottery because we had practice, architectural practice about 50 years, and we used to do planning for settlements. So we had done town plans for Iraq, Nigeria, Philippines, and somehow in architecture, especially in any kind of a planning job, you realize that things take place or not take place due to circumstances which are totally out of your control. I mean, when we had done plans for townships in Iraq, that time the Iran-Iraq war started, and Syria closed down the pipeline, so all the funds had dried up, so those things did not take place. In Nigeria, when we did the town plans, somehow we were supposed to go there, and that same week there was a military coup over there. So that plan did not take place. So, like this, you're dealing with so much money and so much external circumstances. Shards of pottery. Now, pottery also has this strange quality of being very fragile so that it breaks, but it also um, uh, is an object which is chemically inert. So it can last through, time. I mean, 10,000 years, 20,000 years. It seems to last through time very well. So, I mean, that is one other thing that had always fascinated me. That how you even judge at what level a civilization was based on the kind of pottery they have done. So, it is a kind of a gauge for a civilization because it is a craft which is very basic. It deals with very basic materials and it deals with all the Panchamahabhuta. I mean, you need water, you need mud, you need heat, you need air, you need space. I mean, you enclose the space. So that way, it is a very engaging kind of a craft. So, and you have to realize that, craft, people have been creating craft way before they even learned the language. So, it is one of the earliest things. So, by doing a craft, what you also achieve is you are kind of going back in time and dealing with different traditions, and each area deals with the same mud in many different ways. In the book, I have also covered part of the traditional potters and their communities. Actually, what happened is that during COVID, one person I know deals with potters community who is there, which is there in Pune, and she told me go and please see them because they're struggling, and uh, so I went and saw them, and they were painting Ganpati with plaster of Paris Ganpati with paint, and I felt really bad about it. So I asked them, okay, what do they make? So they make one particular kind of a pot which is used in crematorium, and that and one particular another type of a similar pot, and then they make these Ganpatis, or during Diwali they make toys and things like that. So I was trying to show them what I do, and somehow I had a feeling that they didn't want to do anything else, though I had gone there because somebody had told me to go there and show them what I do. And for that, when I started doing work on wheel, I was very clear that, the skill I have, it can never match the traditional potter's skill, because they have been, as a child, they have been doing this thing, and all their life they are doing the same thing. Um, but when I saw these potters making the same type of a pot, perfectly identical, they didn't have to weigh the clay, or they didn't have to have a scale on the side, which, a lot of studio potters go through a lot of trouble to make a set of something which is identical. He had no trouble in that. He could have done that in his, as soon as in his sleep probably. But he didn't want to do anything else. So I was kind of perplexed as to, when you have so much skill, why you don't want to experiment. Then, when I read a book, which I have mentioned in the book, somebody who has done a lot of research on the traditional potters in India. When I read through the book, I realized what the thing was. Now, in India, the pottery tradition is, it goes earlier than even Indus Valley civilization, and it has maintained throughout all these years. So, what I came to see that there are certain types of traditional pots that we require for certain festivities, and there are communities which are in charge of making that exact particular pot and nothing else. It is almost like they are not allowed to be making something else. And I could see that this is like it was creation of a factory community, that, this particular type of a pot from that particular location, this community will make. And nobody else will make that. And he should not be making somebody else's pots either. And so I came to see that this was their way of cutting down competition, and this is what has and this was a way of survival for the communities in which certain pots were made. So, and they have stuck to that. I mean, there is a there are many stories about how pottery came about, and how um, they're very interesting stories. I mean, when Shiva and Parvati wanted to get married, there was no pot. So somebody said that he will make the pot as long as he gets the implements. So, um, uh, he gets uh, all kinds of implements from all kinds of gods, and he makes the pots, and he makes the kumbha. And that is why the community is called kumbhars. So traditional pottery is a different thing altogether, and they have compulsions for carrying on with the tradition. There is a community in Kutch which makes deities, and there is also a story saying that if anybody else makes those deities, they will lose their eyesight. So they go by this, that certain communities make certain things. And to me, as a studio potter who dabbles in just about every shape, form I can think about every single day, that came to me as a surprise. Initially, I thought that why do they not want to do this? Then I came to see that there is a, long tradition of survival at work. And I'm sure if you dig into any of the traditional crafts, there are similar stories of certain communities' survival depended upon their being able to keep on making those things at a very reasonable cost. I mean, when I think about the cost at which those matkas are sold, I wonder how they manage, because a lot of people, when they go to buy studio pottery, it is quite expensive, and they also wonder why, when kumbhars are selling this stuff on the road so cheap, why the studio potters are getting so pricey. That is because we make one of a type, and we are experimenting all the time. when I was doing pottery, I know one of my friends who has been doing that before said to me that if you're going to do ceramics, it is lifetime of experimentation. It is, I mean, I can understand that, if somebody tells me that give me 100 of this particular part, I'll be too bored to do it. And firstly, I probably do not know how to make identical parts of that many numbers. And even if I did learn to do that, somehow that is not something I want to do. So, studio pottery uh, is quite different from the traditional pottery. And I'm sure, as I said, that same goes to different arts and different crafts in this country. And our country is rich with different crafts. So, and the skill that they have is generally unmatched, except for when you come to experimentation, there is a lot of resistance due to a lot of historical background related to that. Now, as I said, that Kabir, of course, was a weaver, and you might have heard another thing by him called Jhini Jhini Binire Chadariya. Um, I don't know if you have heard that song. I think Jasraj also has sung that. Uh, it's called Jhini Jhini Vinire Chadariya, and he is describing a chadar as a human being. He is talking about, the horizontal and vertical threads, and how Sai required 10 months to weave it. Actually, in Indian terms, a child is born after 10 lunar months. So, how, his father is a human being. Similarly, in this particular poem, when he's talking about ghata, he's not talking about actual the um, earthen matka. He's actually talking about you and I. And he's talking about how we are all uh, with different shapes and sizes and with different fate. So, um, next, please. So, these are the some of the writings from the book that as you keep working with clay, pottery becomes less about merely creating a pot and more about shaping your own self. I think learning to make pottery has little to do with pottery at all and has all to do with the balance of elements of earth, water, air, and fire to create something. And in doing so, balancing all the elements in your life uh, to make it better. Uh, will Do you think that makes sense, or it is becoming too much philosophy? Uh, I do not know. Can I see the earlier one? Perhaps art of pottery is not really about pots that we create or aim to create at all, but about returning to our instincts and reconnecting with the elements and fundamental truths hidden in the deeper level. To achieve this, however, it demands persistence and passion and not a cursory, non committal dabbling. Actually, I do conduct classes, and I know sometimes people come and tell me, can you give me a 2 hour class? And that's it. So I'm like, what can you learn in 2 hours? So, basically, people just want to say that they have done pottery, and, this is the pot they have done. You are not going to learn about life by doing art at such a cursory level. If you're doing any art, you will have to, uh, you know, they always say art is a jealous mistress. It requires a lot of attention. You cannot just you know do it cursorily. And I have got a lot of pots that I have made. I think I did not get much time to make the PPT today because we didn't have electricity most of the day. Can I see the next slides? Next. So I used to do Ganpati workshops for children because in Maharashtra, uh, it is a very popular festival and people make plaster of Paris. They buy plaster of Paris Ganpatis and they, immerse them in rivers, which is very polluting. So this is just simple red clay Ganpatis that I used to take children's workshops. Next, please. We have a thing called Art Monday in Pune, where the vegetable vendors sold vegetables. We once a year sit and sell very affordable art, sitting in the same place, which is the Monday of Pune. So these are the small things. Well, and every year we have a different subject on which we create the things. So this particular time where you see all these little nests kind of things. So the subject that time was space within, and at one time there was like vegetables sold in Monday. So I tried to make little cabbages or whatever. And one year was called harvest. So the green things are a thing called soup, which hopefully your generation has seen it. In our generation, we used to use it for taking out the husk from, uh, you know, cleaning wheat, or when you when you roast peanuts and take out the skin to get those out. So these are, of course, made out of ceramics rather than bamboo. Next, please. So this is the 200-year-old Monday, which is there in Pune, and this is our group. It's in 2020. Similarly, there is a festival in Studio Potters festival in Kalaghoda, Mumbai, which takes place in February. Next, please. Here again for Art Monday, I had made what we call Ardhivati, means when you buy a coconut, a lot of people don't want to buy the full coconut because they don't need it. So shops sell it as Ardhivati, means half a coconut. So these are also ceramics, but they are made with to look like coconuts. And the other one is like eggshells. When you break an egg, uh, well, these are the eggshell thing. They are quite large actually. They're the large bowls uh, made to look like broken eggshells. Next, please. And these are the pots which are here in my house just now. These are the lights. Next. These are porcelain lights. The porcelain clay comes from China. I mean, you can get here also, but the Chinese porcelain is very translucent, and that is why if you make impressions into the slab, the light comes through where the slab is thinner. So this is what these particular lamps that I have made out of porcelain are. Next. Again, these are earthenware lamps. Next. Various wine goblets. Next. Next. Again, you can melt pieces of glass inside a pot to give that kind of a water-like effect at the bottom of this particular pot that you see. You will relate to it because when you make contour model, how you put layers and layers on top of each other. This particular pot is made with layers like that. Next, these are the so-called cabbage pots. Next, and these are very large leaves. Actually, these were impressions of leaves of a tree called Muchkundu. Next, next. Next. We also have a group in Pune called Pune Ceramic Artists. I'm sure Delhi has the Delhi blue pottery, and actually the porcelain clay I get from China is through Delhi blue pottery. I heard that somehow they had some property issues and it is um, not doing the same kind of work anymore. But uh, so this particular group that we have, Pune Ceramic Artists, we also do exhibitions by some subject that we choose year after year. This particular one was done for a subject called fossils. So I have tried to make my own fake fossils, some of the fish and then some vegetation and things like that. Next. These are made with porcelain of ammonites. It's also part of the fossil that I was trying to create. Next. Next. And these are the mother and child sculptures that I have made. This is our own little cat and its kitten. So why I'm showing you all these is that actually there is no limitation as to what you can make or you cannot make out of it. One of the limitation is of course the size of your kiln. So you cannot make something larger than that because it will have to be fired in that. The other thing that you have to remember is that a clay shrinks. So whatever you imagine to be certain size, at least 15 to 15% each time you fire it, it goes down in size because the space inside the water evaporates and it slightly shrinks each time. But earth is a very malleable material. You can give it whatever shape you want. And so in that respect, I would say that as architects, it will give you a way of doing three-dimensional thinking. And until you fire it, the same clay is reusable over and over. As long as you put again water in it and make it the correct consistency, you can carry on making things with it. So um, I would you know, I would recommend, and though it is not a very cheap hobby, because you require things like the kiln, which and space for doing pottery. You will require certain amount of space where your parents don't mind a lot of mud all over the place, and as potters we do a lot of mess, and so you have to be ready for. I mean, there are people who uh, love playing with mud, and I have seen there are people who shudder at the idea of it altogether. So you have to be the type which likes playing with mud. That is one of the prerequisites. I mean, you can't be, uh, you know, touchy about getting, your hands dirty, your nails all full of mud. You can do pottery if you like. Next, I think that is the. Uh, do anybody have any questions?
Um, so first of all, I would just like to appreciate all that we have seen, like all the works that we have seen. And I would just like to bring up the fact, as you have said already, that um, AI is not exactly seen as a valid way of art, because I agree with it too. And so to battle with that, I'm just so glad that we are inspired by you and all the depth that we saw in your work. So I would just like to ask you, what is the like, since all of these pieces that you have shown, they are so
Yeah.
different. Which one of them was not the hardest to make, but in some ways challenging for you to make? Because I would just love to go through the thought process that you had, or even have a glimpse of it.
Actually, that porcelain lamps that I had made were challenging because first time when I made them, I wasn't sure how thin I can make the um, uh, slab and still hold it together. So initially, I made a conical shape. No, I made a rectangular shape, sort of like a cylindrical shape, and I made it a little thicker because I thought that it will not stand, and because of that, the translucency didn't come through. Then I thought about making it thinner, but changing the shape. And as architects, we know that any tetrapodal or conical shape is always structurally more sound. So I made those conical ones, and I had made impressions of grass in that slab. So the thick part of the grass at the bottom in the kiln that tore apart, and the thing sat down a bit. So then next time, what I did is that I tried to put uh circular plate below it, so that it stops it from spreading across. And even in terms of the impressions that you make in it, I mean, there have been many instances where I used uh, some really large, beautiful, uh, those printing blocks that people have used, and that those because that block was so large that some places it got pressed nicely, some places it didn't get pressed nicely. So by the time I know one of the people who taught me had told me that don't make one of anything, make four, five, six times. The sixth would have solved all the problems. I mean, in architecture also it is the same thing, that the first thought you think about and you do the design will solve all the problems, and you persist on it, and then you try to repair each problem. It's a problem solving. I mean, after all, designing is nothing other than problem solving until you get the result. So the photographs that you saw of the ceramic and porcelain lamps with a nice translucency in it would be about 20th time it was done. So this is, I mean, if somebody asks me why do they cost so much, I have to kind of explain to them. One of the reason why I wrote the book is that I got kind of tired of explaining the whole process. Is it's not that easy. So hopefully people who read it will get that. Next.
Yes, we will all be definitely reading your book, because I am more than intrigued in the entire process of it. So right now, I would like to see if anyone else has any questions. They can drop it in the comments.
Okay.
Um,
So it's not a question from me. kind of an appreciation to the presentation and the talk that you had. Um,
Okay,
the
thank you.
presentation had some like writings from your book, right? And you
Yes,
asked if those are more philosophical and we cannot understand it. No,
okay,
it wasn't more philosophical. It was rightfully philosophical. And I kind of got all of it. And so
okay.
happy and so glad that I joined the meeting and I got to had the experience of this talk with you. And also the book. Yes, we'll read it. For sure, we'll read it. And it was really beautiful. The ceramics were beautiful. Your way of writing was also beautiful. So thank you so much for like coming here with for us.
The book is there, available on Amazon and Pothi, um, and or you can send me your address and I can mail it to you because I got some copies printed, so I can mail them to you also.
Yeah, I think that could be a good option to get a signed copy from ma'am.
Uh, okay. Anybody else has any questions?
There is a one question in the chat box
Huh.
from
Oh,
Agustia
that. Oh,
Nandani.
uh, you know, I kept my son's name is Harsha, so I thought that Harsha was messaging me something. I didn't read that because I said, I'll see it later. Yeah, let me check. Oh,
Yeah, it's how was the journey from architecture to poetry emotionally and economically for you? Uh,
um, Actually, what happened is that I was introduced to pottery in 1970 in New York because I did my architectural education in Pratt Institute in New York between 64 and 1970, 69 actually. And that time I had some personal problems. My mother had passed away in India and I could not see her. And so when I did pottery, it was emotional relief for me. And after that, I had assumed that after coming back to India, I will do that. But in Bombay, the space constraint and practice and children and all that could not take place until after 35 years in 2005 again I started doing pottery. So pottery was always at the back of my mind all along. Even those 35 years I did not do pottery. So economically, I mean, by now um, uh, you know as I said, it's an expensive hobby, but it manages to pay for itself at least. And it has never been a main issue of it was never economics, and it was always some sort of a compulsion. As I said, that it's like the mad potter. I mean, once you start doing something, you don't know how to stop. So architecture was, apart from survival, actually architecture was also partly, something that we wanted to do because this is how me and my husband met, and we have done worked on residential housing, which most architects stay away from because there is. Not that much money in it actually compared to the other kinds of buildings, but this is what we ended up doing and we like doing. So um, I mean, I don't think we made a big killing out of either architecture or definitely not out of pottery, but I mean it definitely was a really something we liked doing, and being paid for it was icing on the cake. So it was good to be doing something that you like doing. And I think I used to say that a lot of times architects don't make as much money because we like our work too much. So hopefully all of you can make money as well as like the work that you are doing.
thank you, ma'am.
Okay.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for all your words. Honestly, it was such a pleasure to hear from you. And I really hope that once I read the book, I think I'll have more insight on the topic. And
Okay.
as from everyone's side, I think all of us have been inspired a lot. And thank you so much. So that's it
Thank
for
you.
today.
Thank you for attending, and thank you, Harshavardhan, for inviting me. Okay.
Yeah.
Bye.
One more thing I just want to say.
Yes.
Uh, since students who have attended this talk, there's already one talk which is given by the ma'am last year. And since student collaborative, we just started, and the ma'am is our first speaker. So it's really honored, and we really feel honored to have ma'am again. It's really ma'am's
Thank,
generosity
thank you.
and ma'am's kindness. She always say yes to our simple messages and all those things. Ma'am is really supportive. So
I'm
those
really
who
happy
want
that you
to,
are doing this work because, you know, before going to Pratt, I had spent a few years in JJN, College of Architecture, and I have taught over there. And I always said, in that college, children learn from each other a lot more than they do from any professor. So, this
yeah,
idea of students getting together and learning, I think it's a very good and very valid idea. And as I said, that in JJ, I was very sure that most of the learning they did from the seniors and from other students. All this NASA thing and all that people used to take part in with great enthusiasm. So
yeah,
nice to see all of you.
yeah. Yeah, and I just want to say one more thing since the students are just there. So from today, matlab, since the talk is today, and you guys should know this, ki from today, all day there is no light in the ma'am's residence. There is a light cut from the. Still, ma'am comes at that time to share this thing with all the students. So this is really wonderful. Matlab, we can easily postpone it, but ma'am said we do anyways. Yeah, and really,
No, no, just the lights came
yeah,
just in time. I was
yeah,
not sure whether they are going to come or not. There was some
yeah,
transformer
yeah,
trouble on the road or something like that.
uh,
So,
yeah. Oh, sure.
but I'm
Uh,
glad that we got
yes,
to
ma'am.
see.
For students, again, ma'am already said, please, someone who wants to order the book, ma'am, I think
Okay.
you have authored two books, Sheltering Angle and this book.
Yes,
Okay, apart
shel-
from this,
yes, sheltering angle is also available with me. And for
okay,
students, I will give it to you at 50% of the cost.
okay. So, so I will share the ma'am's email on the group. So anyone
Okay,
wants to order, they can order. They can just give ma'am the email, and ma'am will share.
okay. Thank you.
Okay, ma'am. Yeah.
Good night.
Thank you so
Okay.
much, ma'am. And thank you for all the students for attending as well. We really look forward to connecting with you any other time over any other talk because I think I speak for everyone here when I say that we all are really inspired and honestly really happy to hear all of your insights. Thank you so much for today.
Thank you.
Uh,
Thank you.
very good night.
Good night.